Hey, what's going on, guys? Back with Coach's Corner. What I wanted to share today is a simple training day template, like workout for a full body day. Now, this is kind of like an athlete for life model. We're going to go through, because I'm going to try to keep the whiteboard part short, and then we're actually going to go and show some exercises. Like if you were a beginner, and then we'll go from, hey, if you're kind of like, for instance, intermediate here, because I get this a lot. Like if you're, creating your own template and you just wanted to plug and play and kind of like, get this simple format down, I think it'll really help you. And I get a lot of kind of DMs, messages, and emails about this. So I was like, all right, let me shoot one and then show an example. By the way, because this could be, if you're at a hotel gym, you could run this model. We'll kind of do an example, right? If you're training in the gym and you want to make a 4-week program, you could run this model. If you have minimal equipment at home, you could run this model. So it's going to go like this, okay? After your warm-ups. So what I did not do, I did not include warm-ups in here. I got whole YouTube videos that created warm-up, so you can go check that out. But we'd start with a twitchy exercise. Now, I'm going to, like, for instance, what is the twitchy exercise? To me, that's like elastic, reactive, plyometric, but it can be a bunch of different things. And I'm going to give you an example for somebody that's a really big beginner that can't do things like sprints, hurdle hops, even, again, pogo jumps, things like that they're not there yet, okay? We'll give an example of that. So after your warm-ups, you can do something twitchy, somewhere from 3 to 5 sets. Again, we'll give an example. From there, we'd go into a superset, a contrast set of a main strength exercise, usually lower body. Again, if we're doing multiple days of full body days, it could rotate lower, upper, lower. A lot of different ways you could do it. And I'll give you examples here, right? So it's a main strength contrast with a power exercise, okay? From there, we'd go to a supplemental strength muscle building. So usually the supplemental one will support the main one, right? But again, we'll give some examples here. And that would be superset with, so it'll be a lower with the upper, right? Upper strength and or hypertrophy / muscle building one, right? And then the third would be a circuit, a tricep, accessory lower, accessory upper, and then core. And then if you got time, you'd go conditioning. And this is a really simple format, right? But you go 4, 3, 2. So 4 on a main strength exercise sets, 3 on the super set of the supplemental, and then you'd kind of start with 2 an accessory and kind of build up from there. And so on this side, what I'm going to do is go beginner, right? So let's say somebody hasn't trained for a long time, is just kind of getting into it, and is thinking like, man, I can't really do a lot of this stuff. But you could do a twitchy exercise, could be something like foot fire, right? And I'm actually going to, after the whiteboard, I'm going to show some of these exercises. But foot fire is just like super fast, right? Being really reactive for like 10 seconds. And it will look different for a beginner, right? Or just low-level pogo jumps. It could even be jump rope, right? So you find there's a bunch of different things that we can do here to make that twitchy. From there, the main strength exercise, and again, I'm going to say this for a beginner, could be a goblet squat. And this could either be, for example, a low box jump, or it could be something like a jam ball slam, right? So because a slam, if I take a jam ball or a dynamo and slam it, I have to stop that movement, right? So I'm actually doing a deceleration squat that's powerful, right? It's a power deceleration exercise. So for a beginner, that could work really well. From there, if I did a goblet squat, I'm probably going to want to do some type of hinge. Now, they may not be in a position to do a single leg RDL yet, but so we could do something supported here. We could either just do a regular RDL or a single leg RDL or deadlift, right? Some type of variation. And here we're going to go with a push, right? If it's a hinge, we're going to go with a push. This might be a push-up. Might be an elevated push-up, right? And from here, we might go to some type of glute bridge or hip thrust. Could be body weight. Our accessory upper now is going to be a pull, so it might be a TRX row with a plank. Again, this is kind of beginner level, right? And if we have time, we might do some airdyne bike sprints. Okay. Now, for example, if they're in a place where they can't do some power exercise yet, again, there's almost always something you can do. You can do a med ball throw. Scoop toss is another great one, right? Give them something, well, hey, throw it up in the air as high as you can. It's going to look different for different people. We got 60, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds here doing stuff like this, coming in, never training, light 4-pounder. Say, hey, listen, throw it up as high as you can. Boom, power, right? So again, that'll be simple training when you go beginner level. Now, let's say somebody's intermediate. They've been training for a bit. Okay, they're a little bit more advanced. We could go twitchy exercise. Could be a pogo jump. It could be a sprint, acceleration. It could be power skips, low hurdle hops. By the way, this is like a pick and choose, right? Something, imagine low hurdle hop side to side, right? Going as fast as possible, leaving the ground. Then we could have a trap bar deadlift. Whoop. So trap bar DL here with a box jump, right? Perfect combination. Okay. Supplemental strength. Now, look, this is again, I'm templating this out. If somebody is really, really kind of like arched and extended, I might have them do a front foot elevated goblet squat here, or so a static lunge, right? To push their back and get a better position. So front foot, elevated, static lunge. And that might be dumbbell bench press. And so, for example, for them, the accessory lower may be, could be a double KB squat with a wedge, right? One arm cable pull down. And knee raises, right? So we'll make it harder. You got hanging knee raises. And here for conditioning, maybe we got KD swing Z-mom. Again, we're kind of looking at patterns here, but this would be a beginner. Here, this one would be a more intermediate. And again, this is just one day. So if they were doing an A-B split, if they did a hinge here, for the next day, they would do a squat. Now, the squat could be a belt squat, a front squat, double kettlebell squat, pendulum squat, depending on the client, their goals, their training history, a lot of different things. Their main is going to be usually more in that 3 to 6 rep range, right? So this is kind of that pure, more in a pure strength-ish. Okay, power is going to be low reps, 3 to 5-ish. Supplemental, I like it for 6 to 10, right? So kind of that myofibrillar for both of these here. And then the accessory stuff, 8 to 15, sometimes more. Again, these are general rules. And same thing with the twitchy stuff. This is fast stuff, right? So 5 seconds, 10 seconds, lower reps, because again, we want to have those high threshold motor units firing. We're trying to be twitchy and fast and really develop that. So that's a kind of like an athlete for life, full body training session template. So what I'm going to do here, right? I'm going to actually take you guys through each one, right? I'm going to go kind of like the beginner day, show you pogo jump, foot fire, goblet squat, just kind of see how this would look like, right? And just so you can kind of visualize it. And this would probably take you after warm-ups. Honestly, it's probably an hour session. And what I would do to cut it down, or if somebody's more beginner, we just start manipulating reps, right? Sets. So instead of 4 sets, we'd probably start with 3. Somebody's not there yet, we might go 2 here, 2 here, right? Or we might cut down. Imagine like the big rocks theory, right? Twitchy exercises. We might just go 2 to 3 to start off with. So that just starts compressing the time of the session. And I'd start taking out, we want to keep the big rocks, right? So, hey, what are the big exercises, things they're going to get the most out of? But again, if you're like, hey, I don't have enough time for that, that's why, conditioning optional. You might do it on a separate day if we're just looking at strength training. But it gives you a good kind of breakdown. I could go to a hotel gym and there's very little weights, for example, right? And you're like, well, what's the main strength exercise going to be? Well, it could be a floating, right? It could be a floating lunge with 2 dumbbells. You're going to do that for 6. It's going to be very hard. Or 50s for a step up. And you're like, man, I can't get more than 6 to 8 on that. Okay, cool. That becomes the main strength exercise. You can do jumping lunges. You can do step up jumps without a lot of weight. Supplemental strength, right? You can do a single leg hip thrust with not a lot of weight. That's going to be challenging. So you can kind of still use this template for anywhere that you go. Okay, so we're going to rock and roll. I'm going to show you kind of the beginner one that we wrote down here and go through that real quick just so you can see it. All right, so check it out. We're going to go through, I'm kind of this section, right? Beginner, not a lot of equipment, still following that protocol, should I say, that training template. So let's go with twitchy first. Like 3 options here, okay, that somebody that's a beginner could do, right? One would be foot fire. And again, you're assessing, obviously, your client, whether this is a good fit for them or not. But I just give you 3 simple solutions here that give you an example of like what this could look like. Foot fire, we're just thinking about like hot coals on the ground, like Dirty Dancing, right? Where fast as you can, really being twitchy and relaxed, right? And we might go for 8 to 10 seconds, right? Just teaching them to fire really fast. We could take that up a notch and go to like a high knees. Now, this might not be very high for them, right? But just attacking the ground, sprinting as fast as possible, right? So again, for somebody that's a beginner, it might not look like you're doing it as fast, but for them, it's gonna be as fast as possible. Pogo jumps are another one, or jump rope, where you could just say, hey, we're gonna go jump rope for 20 to 30 seconds, right? Or pogo jump, just bouncing, right? And again, giving them a short time frame. If it's pretty intensive, 10 to 15 seconds. If they're not there yet, we're just teaching them to react quickly, right? So what we do, for example, somewhere between 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then we give them a break, 40 seconds to a minute, and then repeat, right? Again, beginner might just do 2-3 sets of that. From there, their main, remember, was a goblet squat. Whether you got a kettlebell, whether you have a dumbbell, what's gonna be a heavy, for instance, 8 reps for them that they can do with good form with that interior load. And by the way, like I got wedges because a lot of people will just have a better squat with a wedge right off the bat. So remember, we had a main strength that was lower. We might even slow down their tempo and say, hey, 3 seconds down. 3, 2, 1, up fast. 3, 2, 1, up fast. 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's say that they're doing for 8 reps. Again, a beginner, we're probably not gonna go, 3 to 5, load them crazy heavy because they'll have an adaptation anyways. Then we're gonna do a power exercise. Now, this could be a low box jump. They might be perfectly fine doing a low, right, jump to a box, landing on a box, 7 back down. But this is another regression that's a slam that does work the lower body, right? Because I'm gonna go slam this and catch myself low. So I'm gonna go up on the toes, right? So I'm dropping fast. So there's some upper body power here too, but I'm training to stop in that bottom squat position, right? So we might hit that for 6 reps super fast, okay? So that was our strength and power contrast set. From there, single leg RDL. And again, for a beginner, this might be a double leg RDL. I'm gonna show a single leg with support. And we'll just start on same side, meaning, right? So this is the working leg. I have support, so I don't need as much balance here. I'm gonna drive back, feel glutes, feel hammies, feel my whole foot. And you can even help them to drive up here, right? It's a little bit more, stay nice and tight. Right, again, they might not be there yet, and you might just do a double dumbbell RDL as our hinge, right? We did a squat, we're gonna do a hinge. And our superset here would be a push-up. Now, if I get a real beginner, I would elevate a barbell on a rig so that they're higher up. But for somebody, let's say they can get somewhere from 8 to 12 quality ones, right? You got 3, 2, 1. Maybe we can control tempos. Right, so we're adjusting that push-up position for them, maybe adjusting tempos to where it's challenged. Okay, from there, we got a bunch of different options. Now, if I did a 2-leg RDL, I would probably go to some type of lunge variation, right? So it might be a static lunge, okay? So again, if it was a double leg RDL, I'd probably make my 3rd set of exercises start with a static lunge, maybe front foot elevated with a goblet, right? Maybe it's just body weight depending on where they are, okay? And or somebody wants to work on their glutes more, we might do a bridge position or a hip thrust. We could even load it with the dumbbell here, right? And pause at the top so we drive up. 1,001, 1,002, control down. Right, we might do that somewhere in that 10 to 15 rep range. So now we got that lower body accessory and we go to upper. So we did a push-up here. We'd probably then go to a TRX row, some type of pull. It could be a cable row. Again, you have quite a few options. We're just giving examples here, right? So boom, we got our TRX row coming up, pausing, nice and tall position. Same thing, maybe we're gonna go for 12 reps here. You can make it harder or easier, obviously based on the position that you're in. And the third one might just be a plank, right? And as they progress, the plank could be just straight up plank, could be an RKC a little bit further out. It could be, tapping out and just extending that time, right? And last but not least, if I had time here, I'd go into, there's an example of like a hotel room workout. I could do bike sprints, airline bike sprints, treadmill, 30 seconds on, 60 seconds off. I'd finish with some type of higher intensity interval conditioning, right? And that would be a beginner training session based on an Athlete for Life template. And we'd manipulate sets and reps to make sure, again, that person can handle it and then nicely progress over a period of time, right? So that was a beginner example of the template I just showed. Then you can do minimal equipment, just starting off, hotel gym workout, whatever it may be. All right, so I'm gonna show you kind of the intermediate one in a second. Hey, what's up guys? I just want to let you know about the highest quality, best fitting, most comfortable shorts that I've ever had for training, the 10,000 interval short. Again, these are, first of all, they're very, very durable. I've had a lot of shorts. The problem is like once you beat them up, like they start wearing and tearing. I've had these ones and I crushed them. Remember the type of training that I do in Athlete for Life, conditioning, getting sweaty, sprints, strength training, like rolling around on the turf, right? Doing my mobility, moving around a lot. And like these have just stood the test of time. And I love them so much. It's like anything, I just get them in a lot of colors. I got like 5 pairs of these. And also, if you're a social media creator, I got that pocket for the cell phone right here. Also, nice zipper pockets here. As you can see, I got the mic in these also working great. The shirts from there too, because they got like best men's training gear out there, 36,000 5-star reviews. We'll let you know that. By the way, if you want to upgrade your wardrobe, you can go to 10,000.cc/vigor. So not .com, cc, 10,000.cc/vigor for 15% off all your training gear. You can look at that link below. You can click that link below and get there. So remember, it's TENTHOUSAND.cc/vigor for 15% off your total order. Again, get these. You're going to love them. You're going to be able to beat them up and get your best training session. Because guess what? Training should be uncomfortable, but your training gear should be comfortable. All right, let's go to the next part. All right, so this will be the intermediate kind of example of the template that I showed, starting with twitchy stuff. Again, twitchy stuff could also be, to me, right, 10-yard accelerations, but I'm not going to do that right now. We could do like super high intensity pogo jumps, but like for instance, lateral hurdle hops, love these. For somebody that doesn't have, again, this level, you could also go just jumping over a shoe, right, where I'm trying to get off the floor as fast as possible, right? So, right, so this is twitchy, minimum contact time on the ground. We might go 3 to 4 sets of 10 reps per side here, right? Hot coals on the ground, no shoes on, and from there having about 45, 60-second break before we repeat it, right? So that'd be in and of itself. By the way, too, depending on your time, what you have, we might do a lower upper, right? So I might do these and then do a rotation and wall throws for some upper body power there too. From there, we're gonna go to our main strength. So as an example for our main strength, we're gonna go to trap bar deadlift. Now, here's the deal. I'm not gonna impress you guys with maximal loads that I'm doing, but pretend that I've done my warm-up sets, right? Because I'm getting to like a heavy set of 4. I'd probably do about 3 ramp up. I call them ramp up sets, right? So let's say my set of 4 is 425 pounds, and I would go and do this for 5, stack on 45, do that for 3, stack on 45s, do that for 2, and then maybe go another load up and again get to my working set, right? But pretend that this is my heavy set for like a 4, right? So let's say we're doing 4 sets of 4, right? I'd be going heavy, resetting, from there I'd do my contrast set, and my contrast set will be going to a box jump, and I would be doing, again, maybe 20 to 30 seconds break here before going to this contrast set. Again, this could be a lot of different things. I'm just gonna go with a box jump for four jumps. Down fast, up fast. So again, lower body strength, contrasting with lower body power. Bam, and that would be my contrast set. Then I take a full 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, kind of full recovery, and go back to my second set, okay? From there, we're gonna go to kind of just loop around here. So our supplemental. Now this could be something like a reverse lunge, okay? So just as an example, let's say we're doing 8 reps of a reverse lunge. It could be a forward, front foot elevated, static lunge. There's so many options based on the person, right? So I'm looking at positioning. If I want to help them change posture and position, I'm going to pick a certain exercise. But let's say this supplements our trap bar deadlift, right? So just we go hip. For example, we could, if focusing more on strength, we could even do this for 6. This could even be a barbell reverse lunge. There's a lot of options. Again, that's going to be dependent on the person, what we're trying to achieve. So I'll just hit 6 on each side here. Putting those back up. So that would be my lower supplement. We take 30, 45 seconds and go with our upper body supplement strength. I'll pick dumbbell bench press. Usually you're gonna see me, right? That's grip dominant. If I'm going heavy on the lunges, hanging, right? I don't wanna do another exercise necessarily. It's not ideal. That's like hard on the grip, like a pull-up, okay? There are scenarios where we do that, but in this scenario, right, we don't wanna do this. So we're gonna go with a dumbbell bench press. Let's say this is for 8. Again, not gonna impress anybody. Right, so I'd hit my set, and then I'd have a full break, which might be, again, 90 seconds here, maybe even longer. Again, depending on the person, right? It's actually, for somebody that's very, very strong, the breaks become longer, right? If I'm doing my regular set, I'm doing lunges for 6 with 120s. I'm doing these with 120s, 110s, right? I'm gonna maybe need longer than a minute and a half afterwards, right? But a beginner might need less time because they're just not efficient, meaning neurologically efficient. They can't use as much muscle mass, right? They don't know where their maxes are. So it's gonna be different for everybody. So we do 3 supersets of this. And then my last tricep, we do some type of, for example, in this scenario, I'll just want to work my glutes a little extra. Glute drive, hip thrust, just because the machine is here and it's, again, easily accessible. Again, this could be a barbell hip thrust. This could be, in your hotel workout, a single leg hip thrust off of a bench with a dumbbell, which makes it really hard to where even if I'm using just a 40-pound dumbbell, it will toast my glutes at 12, right? So again, you can adjust this in a lot of different ways. And this could be a lot of different exercises based on what day it is. Again, hopefully that template will help so you can kind of plug in stuff, right? Again, this is very light for me, but just the example of showing you guys. Okay. And we do a pause at the top. So this one would be in that 10 to 15 rep range, right? With a long pause at the top. So let's pretend that I'm in high reps already, right? Finish my set. Same thing, 30, 45 seconds in between. And then, great example here, we're gonna do a half kneeling lat pull down, right? So now it's our pull. Remember what we talked about? I did a hip thrust. I wasn't using any grip. Now I'm going to grip. So just makes it a little bit more convenient when we're doing it that way. Okay, so again, shoulder blade pulling down, pinky in a little bit. We might go 12 here. Keeping that constant tension. Flat. Flat. Again, these exercises, both, I'm gonna just do one side instead of both, but the supplemental and accessory stuff, people will say, well, how hard should it be? Well, for beginners, it doesn't have to be crazy because we're just trying to figure it out. There shouldn't be strain, it should be challenging. For intermediates, I would say hey, be within 2 to 0 RIR, which is reps in reserve, right? 0 reps in reserve is I did the last one, I couldn't do one more, could not do one more, right? 1 RIR means I did it, I'm like, man, maybe I could do one more and I'm done, right? So for muscle building, that's like very, very effective. So we kind of shoot for that. So we did a glute drive, we do our single arm cable pull down. And now, for example, we can do a hollow hold. I could do a weighted hollow hold. So grab a dumbbell here, right? Squeeze that dumbbell, point the toes, maybe go 45 seconds here. We can do hanging knee raises, right? We could do a moving plank where I have plates. So 4 plates over here, 10-pound plates. I'm grabbing them. I'm putting them on one side. I'm taking them from one side to the other side, right? Again, what is going to be a challenging core exercise for us that we want to work, right? And we'd do week 1, we'd probably do 2 sets of that, right? We may progress it to 3 eventually by week 3. And then if I got time, I might hit the airline bikes, 15 seconds on, 45 seconds off, really pushing the intensity, right? We could do sleds and prowlers. Again, if you have access to that in the gym, there's a lot of different things. But I tend to go on strength and conditioning. I should say strength days, more higher intensity conditioning if we're going to do it, right? Again, this is a template for a lot of people that have about 3 days a week to train strength. This is how I'd break it down. So with that said, again, you can start plugging in your own exercises, but hopefully this helps, because it is simple to just, if you did 4 weeks of that program and switched up exercise, you went from a trap bar deadlift to a sumo deadlift, right? You went from a box jump to a broad jump. You went from a reverse lunge to a Bulgarian split squat. Like, we could have endless variations here, but it does give you an idea. And also, this is my template. If I'm going on the road and I'm in a hotel, I'm picking this. So again, if you'd like to see more stuff like this, how to look, feel, perform like an athlete without the nagging aches and pains, make sure to follow this channel, bring in more fire. Peace out.